What's going on, everybody? Fedor here from 3D Print SOS. Welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, I want to show you how you can use the top screen on your DS Lite when you're building yourself one of these Game Boy macros. Now this one, I have a whole live stream where we built this particular macro using my MacroSOS printable case right over here. The video should be popping up right over here. I'm also gonna include links down below for everything you see. But in that video, I explain why and how. It is a long video. You can go along, build one of these alongside with me. You can go ahead and just jump through whichever section you need to get through the build on one of these things and testing, what to look out for, all of those details. But one thing I definitely left out in that video is how to use the top screen if you have a situation like this. For example, this donor DS right here has a really yellowing bottom screen, but as you can see, the top screen is significantly better. So if I was to use this to make a macro, I would obviously want to use the top screen if at all possible. And you can. I want to show you how you can do that so that if you're at the step of adding a screen, you can use either a DS with a broken top screen or a broken bottom screen. You should be able to make yourself one of these MacroSOSs either way. So here I was just working on them and I tested two different screens. Both of them have various issues, but I decided to do it anyway just for this video. And here is how it is going to end up working. I want to go through a few things here. Let's undo this so I can show you why I have two screens here in the first place. So as most of you guys know, this is the original top screen. This ribbon cable is there because of the opening mechanism, and a lot of them do actually go bad in several ways. This one is starting to go bad. It has a little bit of a crease right there, which ends up ripping, and this one right over here has ripped in actually two spots. It still turns on, but it does not function. This has lines all over the place, but it was worth testing to see this several times. So here is a version of the regular screen, and let me show you why they don't work just by plugging them in. So if we lay the top screen on the bottom here and the bottom screen on top, you'll be able to see the difference in the plugs. I know the video is going to take a second to catch up. There we go. So right there, if I lay them over top, you can see that this bottom plug right over here has a few extra pins, and they are larger than the rest. So if I move this aside, you can see that it's actually somewhat easy to swap the ones that are extra. So what I tend to like to do as well, cut them off with a blade. You have to be really careful, really take your time to do it, but if you do it, it totally works, and I'll show you a working example. So like I said, I usually lay this over top. I go ahead and take a Sharpie, I mark those three, and I go ahead and I use either a razor blade or the sharpest side cutters I can find, and just really take your time and to cut those pins out. And here's an example of them cut. I just did this a few minutes ago. Let this thing focus, and well, it's not focusing, but there you can see it. Let me go ahead and show you the other side as well. There we go. I tend to mark it with a marker and just take my time. So now if I go ahead and take this one and lay it over top of this display cable, you will see, there we go. You will see that they are now identical and will fit into the right connector. So that's the first part. That's the ribbon. There's actually a couple other things, and you can see the back of this is a little bit different than your standard screen, and that is because these things actually come with metal shrouds on them. And I have two of them here that are different because my DS Lites that I have both Japanese and American versions. From what I noticed, the Japanese versions have a case on them like this. And this one is actually much better because it has less adhesive to come off, and it doesn't have a metal piece right over here holding in the cable, which is also another failure point. But all you need to do is, I use a heat gun, but you can definitely use a hair dryer or any other heat source, is I use a big tool like this because it just gives me a lot of grip. I grab the corner really carefully and really slowly peel that off. With a little bit of heat, as soon as it gets warm at all, this pops off like it's not even there, and super easy. Now the USA ones, they're a little bit harder, as you can see by how much this one's bent because of this adhesive. And once again, I had all this trouble, and as soon as you just touch it with a little bit of heat, it pops right off. But in the same way as the other one, here I'll show you kind of how it sits. It sits like this. You can see what you have to do. You have to cut this piece of metal off right over here so that you can get it out of the way of the ribbon cable. And this is the most crucial part because this thing can slice your cable. But then all I do is heat it up on the opposite side. I grab this thing with pliers and it literally will peel right off with almost no pressure as soon as this adhesive is warm. And what you want to do, it'll end up looking like this. What you want to do is you definitely want to put on some tape. You can use electrical tape, although you want to be as thin as possible. So this style Kapton tape is the best idea. I usually recommend this for the build anyway, because even on these screens you do need to cover it still. And if you forget this step and you actually put this on top and you start this thing up, you will blow a fuse. You'll blow this lower fuse. Ask me how I know. I've already done it several times. But okay, so now we have the ribbon cable to make it match the connector. Now we have the backing and what to do with the back. Now let's talk about the final step, how to get this ribbon cable in the correct position. And this is actually one of the most important parts of the whole thing. Even when you have this cable cut and fit and all of the good stuff, it's still really difficult to figure out how to get this into the case. So let me show you. You might have to pause this and do this a couple times, but I'll try to be as simple as possible. So here's what you do. I go ahead and flip this thing upside down like that so that you see the back. I go ahead and I pull this thing up like that, and then we go ahead and flip it back. And when you do it that way, it puts this into a nice compact ribbon with nothing sticking up, and that's really important for when you go ahead and put this thing in the case. Let me show you again. I'll show you one more time. So you hold it like this. Naturally, how the ribbon wants to be plugged in, we go ahead and flip it like that. We pull it up, and then we flip it back up on its face, and there we go. And let me show you how it goes into the MacroSOS case. As you can see here, there's a special void. So now this screen will fit right in there. It actually clicks a little bit more than the other screen. And then you want to go ahead and slide that in right there. And now, as you can see, there's plenty of space for that ribbon cable to live. And now we kind of just pop that in place right over there. And with the screen in where it needs to go, this thing is exactly how we need it. As you can see here, it's in there, nice and flush, everything's working. And I won't be able to show you because I don't have the resistor in here, but it will blink, signifying that it works. And let's see, did I get it? Did it blink? It's not blinking. Let's check it out again. That means I didn't seat the cable correctly. Here we go. Let's undo our crazy winding. Undo this ribbon, and let's gently put it back in again, this time correctly. Here we go. And we're going to do down, up, fold, just like that. Let's put it back in the case, pop it in there. There we go. We're going to give it a little push. Snap, snap. There we go. Let's get this right here, and we got a light and it should blink. There it goes. So that blinking just means that it would be a totally working screen. And I can show you once again like we did in the beginning. If we just pop this off again, come on out of their case. If we go ahead and put in a screen in the top, just like this, clamp it down, get our battery in there, battery in the right spot, of course. There we go. And there we go. We have a totally working top screen in the bottom, and wildly enough, a bottom screen in the top. All right, so there you go. I went ahead and messed with all these screens just to make this video, but what I'll probably do is I'll probably end up having another live stream when we're building more of these things with one that you can follow along, and I'll be sure to link it wherever I can. And be sure to subscribe to the channel for when those arrive. But there you go. That is how you build yourself one of these MacroSOS cases with the top screen on a DS in case your bottom one is broken or whatever it might be, or you have another donor where it's just the top. Whatever the scenario now is, you should be able to get yourself one of these really fun, super compact and portable consoles. I really do enjoy these to play all my classic advanced games. All right, everybody, that's all for me for today. And as always, I'll see you all in the comments. Later.